Welcome back to the third hour of Lovecraftesque with me, your host, Eric, and my two friends here, Talik and Sterling. And if you're just joining us now, we're entering the part 3 and the part of Lovecraftesque where we ramp the game up to 11 in terms of the horror and freakiness. So Lovecraftesque has been a GMless prepless story game where Talik and Sterling and myself have decided to do a space game setting about a space station with a medical doctor, and currently there's some sort of strange alien ooze that has been taking over everything and is now during our main character's escape has even taken over her vessel and is leading her to some sort of strange conclusion on the nearby planet that also is infected. So let's see what happens. So, we're going to initiate the journey into darkness. I think this is sort of like the part of the game where I think it will start with Sterling, and then we just start listing off in quick succession a few sentences and stuff about what's happening after she's been on the Cutlass, and the ship's computers have been compromised by whatever this ooze or ichor is, this oil, and what is happening. And so we're going to be going around in order about maybe like 3 or 4, no, I think 4 or 5 times, until we get to a proper stopping point where we're ready to reveal what the final horror will be. And based on our 8 clues and our steps into the journey of darkness, we will then one of us will be volunteering to be the final narrator, to deliver what the final horror actually is. So that is the cool parts. So let's do this journey into darkness.
Sure. I think when Thea's on the ship, nothing's responding. Like none of the electrics. It's quite dark in the ship as well. And every time she tries to open the door will like open, but like this black liquid just shuts it. She's trapped in the cockpit.
Yep. The ship isn't responding. Zeus is controlling it and locking her in the cockpit. Cool. Click.
So I think Thea is currently just like all of those like nervous jitters that have been like a thing for her this entire time have just amped up to 11 as well. Where she's just like twitching, huddled in like the pilot's chair, just rocking back and forth and tapping that like marked finger against like her knee.
Is panicking and tapping her marked finger against her knee. I think Thea. I think for Thea, she is like panicking, and she feels herself get like nauseous, and I think she vomits some of the black bile blood stuff. So Thea feels sick from the stress and vomits some black ooze. With I say traces of black ooze. So it's not like just pure, but it's so she too is succumbing to whatever this is.
Yeah, I think the ship kind of like as it docks on the landing pad, it just does everything automatically. It's quite a smooth landing, in fact. It's like an expert pilot, and she looks out of the thing, and the entire colony is just this like imagine like dome buildings are just leaking black liquids onto the roof.
So I imagine that like on the outside, like there's that black ooze just leaking everywhere, and I imagine you can actually see, like, as it reaches the ground, instead of like standing like a pool around it, it starts rising, all of it, and just forming like giant skyscrapers of that statue. Just and
Or we'll finally, like, everything sort of like goes to rest on the ship, and the door opens, and the ichor and stuff like that's like on the surface of the planet or whatever starts forming like a stair sort of like step for her to come out onto the surface.
yeah.
So Phalia, I say Phalian ooze, forms a path for Thea to take on the surface. And while it's like an ooze, it feels like hard for her, like it can support her weight and she can like walk.
I think at this point Thea is at peace
Yeah.
with herself and the existence of this ooze. Almost oddly calm. She doesn't quite know if she's had like a mental break, or if she's just feels okay. If she doesn't know she's finally snapped under all this pressure.
Like if it's not a symptom of whatever she has, of the ooze, yeah.
She doesn't know whether she's okay now, like if she's finally like, okay, I'm ready to die, or it's just infected her mind finally.
Exactly. Is it an infection? Is it a mental breakdown? Is it stress? She can't tell.
So I think like as like the like staircase or like that stairway leading off the ship then forms instead of it's essentially starts forming upwards, just straight up as she walks up onto like the largest version of the statues, like at the center.
Oh, okay. So Thea begins climbing the largest statue with stairs provided by the ooze. Or scaffolding.
Like building around it.
Yeah, like scaffolding.
Wrapping around the yeah.
Or it's like switchbacks, yeah. With wrapping stairs. Oh my god, awesome. I think there is a very loud, audible, like bass drone coming from this statue. Kind of like a monolith from 2001.
I think she like nears the top, and this statue kind of like opens like an archway, like a really decorative archway opens, and as she walks inside, she finally realizes what that hum is, and she looks down into like this hollow pillar. And there's little outcroppings with like shapes and figures on there humming that.
Ooh.
So I think as she's walking down into like the hollow statue, and sees these like things humming, she like starts humming along without meaning to. Like she didn't like it wasn't a conscious decision, but she just she doesn't even start humming. She starts singing like the actual words of what they're humming as she walks down.
Ooh. Along harmoniously with the humming shapes. Ooh. And I think we enter a oh my god, yeah. So I think Thea is humming to the shapes, and I think the inside of this hollow ink statue, at the other end of it is a door that looks like a inky simulacra of one of like the administration door of the space station, and it says security protocols like in like an inky kind of way, even on it, and like a mimicry of it. And she goes in and she presses the compad.
As she looks like, as she like goes to touch the compad with like a finger, the ink like liquid like forms like another hand out of her like finger, and it presses the pad for her in like a sequence.
Oh my god, awesome.
And then it's not her hand. It's like
Yeah.
alien symbols. It's pressing them in order, and the door like slowly opens.
I think as the door's opening, she just stares up, and there's like some form of like light, like not a light in the sense that it's bright or anything. It's just this dull like similar to like that red like strobe light from the earlier. It's just this dull red light that goes through the doorway and just bathes her in it.
So I think that's probably so when she gets bathed by the red light, I think this will probably be the scene of the final horror. Do you feel like that sounds about right?
Yeah, like the door's open.
We're on 14, yeah, and
Yeah.
so we see like the red light coming from the door, and the door opens, and so somebody gets to be the final narrator. So we're going to do
Oh, gosh.
from the training guide. Whoever volunteers to be the narrator for the final horror reads this part out on page 45 of the training guide.
I would like to volunteer as narrator. I'll be tribute.
I would, yeah. No, I would love to have you as the final narrator. Flick, you cool with it?
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Good. In this final scene, we go back to our normal roles. One narrator, one witness, plus watchers, if you've been using them. But in this scene, the witness will come face to face with the true horror. There won't be any more need for clues. We get to abandon all of those pesky rules about rational explanation. We will describe things that nobody can deny are supernatural in nature. The witness will have even less control over their destiny in this scene than usual. They might try to run or hide, or if they're really foolish, they might try to fight the horror. There may even be just a look of horror as the scene unfolds. So the witness, you might find yourself mostly narrating your terrified mental state. Enjoy the ride.
So, take us to town, Sterling.
So Thea gets bathed in this white light, and as she steps forward into the room, some shapes of people she recognizes from the space station start like gently brushing her fingertips and like holding her hand, but like that kind of thing, and they're like beckoning her to walk quicker down this quite bright room. It's just like you can just see the endless white in this black liquid form, a kind of cathedral, if you will.
So, she's just... The sense of calm that she felt earlier is still currently in effect. Like, she's looking at the, like, obsidian faces of the people she used to know. I think Jason would be the first. And then, like, Anna and Ricky and all of them. Until it starts getting less of, like, the people she worked with and more personal, like her family. Like, she just, like, starts, like the sense of calm is still there, but she just starts crying. And this time it is just that, like, black liquid.
Oh my god. So it looks like she's been like crying and messed up her mascara, but it's really just the ink stuff. Got it. Totally.
Watcher. She sees before her one of her family members. Who is that family member, and what state are they in?
Oh, it's her mother. It's her mother, Sveta, like Svetlana. And she is... Well, she sees her mom... She sees a figure that actually just looks like androgynous, but it has the voice of her mom. That's very assuring. Yeah. Being like, my child, you've, like... Look how... I'm so proud of you. You've grown up and become such a successful doctor, and... You've done so much with your life. And she holds her, like, her... I think it's actually just... It's like almost like a mannequin looking thing that's made out of ink, and like and it's armless, and then it like tries to like embrace in a hug, so like it creates like a couple sets of arms, like 6 arms out of like this, like... So it's a faceless like proportion. It just looks like a blank, like one of those like figures that an artist would use to draw like emotion, like proportions. It just looks kind of like that. Only now it has like six inky arms with it too, and tries to embrace her.
So Thea would hug back at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's flashing between like the reality of what this is and actually just seeing her mother.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she's just crying, and instead of like it just being streams of that black liquid, it's like bubbling at this point, and she's just like hugging and be like, "But mom, I'm sorry. I thought I could do better for you, for us. I thought I could help people."
The mother like goes, there, my child, you've done brilliantly, and as it embraces you, it starts to like drag you down. I think Thea, there's a moment of clarity in Thea's mind that this is wrong, that this isn't happy, that she shouldn't be happy, she should be terrified.
So I think she's just like she like the like vision that she kept having, like switching between this and her mother, like overlapping, that like snaps away, and she just sees this thing for what it is, and it's just like that's staring at her because it has no eyes, but it has its arms wrapped around her, and how like the liquid is like soaked into her skin at this point, and she just starts like trying to push away, just screaming how like this isn't right. Like you can't take them away from me. You can't take me away from them.
Yeah, as Thea reaches out and starts pushing away from the creature, you see like your hand almost turn to liquid and just form into this creature, and it's like you're slowly just turning into this oil.
Mm.
And Thea looks up where the light is coming from, and you see that it's actually a map of every civilized planet that humans inhabit. And then you feel the earth start to like shake and open, and then the tower opens up, and you see these great, massive jellyfish just explode from this planet.
Hmm?
There is a picture on the wall when Thea glances over. What is that picture of?
Inside the statue.
Yes, on the wall. She
Okay.
looks over and sees like a framed like thing that's almost popped out of like a
Yeah.
TV screen almost has popped out of the wall. What does she see? Or
Um, I think she would see some sort of I want it to be almost like it's a framed portrait of somebody. I think it should be a portrait of her. Only it's her 60 years, like older or so. Like she's like 90 or whatever, and it's like it's just a framed portrait of her, and she's wearing some like super like prestigious sort of like doctor uniform and stuff like that from like the rich society if she should have went that route, and it says something like like matron of medicine or something like that, or like founder of things like that, and like kind of lists some like accolades that she has, and so it's like a very like prestigious like portrait of a life that it could have been.
So I think Thea's like still being dragged down. Like the one arm's essentially just liquid at this point, and the rest it's slowly creeping up, I imagine. And the
mm,
other arm is like trying to reach towards that picture. Like like if she could just touch it, maybe like this is just a dream and she'll be able to pull herself out.
Mm.
yeah, as you glance towards the picture, you see the black liquid. It just flashes to this like creature of black liquid. You see eyes, horrifying eyes, just everywhere on this creature, and it's now not you.
The new narrator will read this part.
Our story has concluded, but we're going to have an epilogue to reveal a little of what happens next, both to the witness, but also to the horror they encountered. We don't play this out, but we just narrate it, each as a scene, either as a scene or a series of short scenes, or perhaps through another medium, like a newspaper article that we read it out loud. The narrator's role is to decide what happens to the horror. They have to show the horror is still out there in the world in some form, even if our witness somehow managed to defeat the horror. Yeah, right. Their job is to show that this was a hollow victory with no real long-term impact.
Yeah. Okay. So, you want to epilogue it?
So
Oh, I guess
yeah,
I have to
I
do the
think
witness part. The player of the
yes,
witness says what has become of our central character. They have to show how the witness' life has been destroyed by the things they have seen. Even if the witness died, they will show how the effects of the encounter with the horror ripple out after their death. By the way, we can narrate these two segments, the fate of the witness and the fate of the horror, in either order or interweave the two.
cool.
I think
So
I think as the credits start to roll, and this is sort of like the after part of the movie, I totally think Rolling Stones Painted Black is the music that we get into at the end.
Oh yes. So I think we don't see like a newspaper article because there are no there are no civilized cities left. There are no people left. All of the planets essentially have formed those giant obsidian statues, and they've all like cracked open at the top and flooded these like like black ooey like jellyfish that just float up and take over like
Yeah, it's like a virus, right?
Mm.
Yep.
It just consumes stuff and just creates itself and explodes again and keeps doing it.
all of those like jellyfish just start floating off in different directions and like across the galaxy and the universe as a whole,
Mhm.
like not just infecting our universe and galaxy but others, just because they just float off endlessly. And we see like almost like bridges between each of these like statues, and each of these planets just span across the like galaxy and like form this almost web like thing.
Oh, I would love a picture of the galaxy itself, like slowly getting turned like its lights out, and forms the
Yeah.
spiral that we saw of the chemical reaction.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, our narrator is just part of the ooze, so I don't think there's anything to add to it. That would actually, I think adding anything would kind of take away from the galactic scale of this change. So,
Cool.
I think we'll end it there. So, thank you for playing Lovecraftesque, guys. You just told a story of horror and this poor Thea Petrovna's just experience with the apocalypse. So,
Not even just like the apocalypse on a planet, just
no, galactic, yeah.
horror.
So,
Just everything you could ever imagine dying.
yeah. So, do you wanna talk about it? What we liked
Yeah,
maybe about the game and stuff like that.
The game, like,
Did the game play the way you expected it to, or was it way
yeah,
different?
like,
Or
I expected it to be harder for me to like get into like I've always liked Dark Souls and Bloodborne and stuff like that. So
Oh,
like
yeah.
maybe this is just like me being nervous. But I thought it'd be harder for me to like get into like the mindset of like we're supposed to like not necessarily scare, but it's horror. Like
Yeah.
we're supposed to like convey that with our descriptions, and I thought it'd be harder for me. But like the rules and like the setup of the game really help to facilitate that mindset,
Yeah. Sterling?
which I think is cool.
I was worried. I gotta be honest. I've never played a storytelling game. I thought it would be a very hard thing to get into, very complicated thing.
Very like demanding of your brain.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, like knowing what to say, when to say it, and like intricacies of it. But this game does a very good explanation of that. The way it breaks it down into parts that you read out to each other. And I was worried it's going to feel like a clashing of minds eventually, where people were like, "No, it's this," and people were like, "No, it's this." But it all came together very easily, which was something I wasn't expecting.
Cool. Yeah. As far as the game goes, I think we probably shot our load a little too early with things
Yeah.
turning spooky. But I think that happens almost universally when you play Lovecraftesque the first time. Is that you kind of just you can't help it. Instead of getting a Lovecraft or Robert Chambers movie, you get a Stephen King film adaptation. You just like that's just kind of the way it works.
Not necessarily.
It's not a bad thing.
Worse.
It's not.
It's just that maybe the book was a bit better. Maybe the book detailed it a bit more. Maybe there's a bit more tension. But the movie's good. The movie's alright.
For me, when I played this game the first time, I kept looking back at the game and being like, oh man, I should have said this, or I should have said that, or I can't wait to try this idea, and my brain was just like overloading with that kind of stuff. And that's what, for me, that's what a sign of a good game is, when the game is like, I can't stop thinking about it and what I would do next time.
I think part of that fear of like, or part of that like wanting to like start the horror a bit quicker is you get some really cool ideas from playing this game where you like know exactly where you want to take this horror, and you're afraid that if you keep like building that tension, you'll lose some of those ideas. Like you'll like the freshness of it, like the like creepy like image you have in your mind will like get a little less like what you have like right then, and you just get scared.
Yeah, but I think there's a challenge to actually let that build, let that tension get spread out. Trust that the game and your players and stuff will keep the tension in the same pacing.
Keep it going in the direction that it's supposed to go. Yeah.
Yumi Mads mentions in chat, I thought the ooze was going to use Thea to spread itself to the next planet, and she'd get that painting ending, but it wouldn't be her. Yeah.
Also would have been a cool
that
one.
That would have been a cool one.
I very much just liked... I think we, like, at least at some point thought about it. We just went much more for the, no, it's not just one planet that gets infected next. It's just fuck everyone, fuck everything, just all of it collectively.
I think I got the inspiration for it being able to move on its own when you described the jellyfish from the space station coming out.
Nice.
So like,
I had that...
Why would it need another vector from like infection? It knows it can infect, so it just goes out and does it. It's self-aware.
That jellyfish thing was literally, as soon as I said that, like the station essentially like spread out like a spider web throughout the asteroid. I was like, yep, I want this thing to detach at some point. I want it to be like this fucking jellyfish looking thing, and just
I knew you were coming to something like that, and that's why I had that detachment thing. Because I picked up on that you had an idea with this. I was like, I don't know what exactly, like I don't know what she's gonna do, but I'm gonna let it ride. So let's see what happens, right? So yeah.
Awesome. Also, I like how you're not I felt like I would want to be the one to narrate the ending, like pretty hard, like just looking through. I was like, no, like I feel like everyone's gonna volunteer at the same time. It's gonna have to be like a fight or something. Like I'm gonna just have to stab Sterling to be able to narrate it. But no, it was very much like, no, I think Sterling has a very clear idea of what they want, and like I feel like they could convey it, and I think it'd be neat.
Yeah.
So
I think part
also,
of
I can narrate the monster, so fuck yeah.
Yeah, I think part of story games is that you realize that you get these really cool ideas too, but then sometimes you're like, okay, I've heard my idea in my own head though. What do others have to say? And you kind of just get into that mindset of like, yeah, I can totally contribute this. Like I don't know. I think next year I was mentioning this on Twitter a while ago. It's like I would love to play a lot of these types of games and use that as inspiration for NaNoWriMo. Just because like if you get a really good game of Lovecraftesque going, you pretty much just wrote a book.
Yeah.
Even though it's a game, it's very much it is like a writing exercise, but it's also an incredible game.
If you could make it so that it's not about horror and about something fluffy, you could put this in schools and it would educate people.
Absolutely.
Story writing.
It's a guide to help you constrain what narrative structure is, right? So this is a game that provides a structure, a framework for a narrative structure, which is a pace. It's supposed to be like an exponential curve of horror, right? It's like it's the dial that turns up.
Don't even make it about like horror. Just like replace horror with like action or excitement, or whatever, and you just slowly like get more and more action as it builds, and it teaches like rising action, fall action, all that good stuff you learn in school.
Yeah, I actually have an idea for this game for investigation. That's not horror related, but solving a mystery based on the clues that you provide, and then you working invertedly like, these are the clues. This is how the guy did it. This is where the terrorists put the bomb in New York City, right?
That'd be
Like 24.
that'd be really
Yeah.
that's neat because it's kind of like the inverse of what this game actually is, because like we find out like the big reveal is at the very end, like the monster, where like I guess the big reveal there is like finding out what, like, why they did it or how they did it.
Yeah, exactly.
Where we already know what happened, we already know the end result, we want to figure out the how, which I think it would be a neat like old dichotomy.
I think 24 was the perfect like analogy for this game. If you've ever watched 24, it builds up over a series of hours. Like each episode takes place over an hour. So I felt like this game was kind of like that, where like each scene was segmented. We got a bit quick. We kind of blew our load very early on, but even then, I felt if we were better or like had more practice at the game, even, it would be a much more drawn out and long process, and it would be not a better experience, but a more fulfilling experience. But I loved the game we had.
Indeed. So
I would totally play this again at some point.
Awesome. So
whenever.
I mean, thank you. And speaking of wanting to play games like this, I'm always looking for new players to play with. So viewers, if you're interested, I stream Once Upon a Game on Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 Pacific, as well as sometimes then on the weekends and stuff like that, on much earlier times like this, like 10 p.m. Pacific for me. If you're interested in stuff like that, go ahead and follow me on Twitter, or hit me up here, whisper me here on Twitch, and I will send you links to our Discord channel where I schedule and organize games, and you can meet awesome fellow gamers like Sterling and Plick, and as well as a whole retinue of fictional gaming soldiers that I have at my disposal. A clone army, a story game army. Yes. As I slowly infect the world of gamers with story games. I'm actually these. Yeah, this was a parallel. This is a parallel for GMless games.
This is your future. This is
Yeah. And Thea gazes up to see Eric there, just controlling the ooze.
Totally. So
and really at the end result, there's not world dominate. Like, no, everyone's not dead. It's just Eric sitting at like a throne, and everyone's playing tabletop RPGs, and he's just nodding along, like,
approvingly.
This was the end result I envisioned all those years ago.
It's finally paid off. Primarch of games. So
Primarch of the RPGs, exactly.
So I think that will conclude episode 12 of Once Upon a Game. Thank you so much for tuning in, friends, and thank you Zathar Wahana and Lima Zulu Tengu for hosting me. Awesome guys. And so Tlick and Sterling, thank you. And how about some outros, last words, how people can find you, that kind of stuff again. And
cool. So I've been thinking about maybe starting streaming again, especially once I get a better microphone. So on Twitch, I'm Tlick100. That's a thing. On Twitter, I'm TlickLO0 because I think I had a Twitter account ages ago and I forgot the password. I'm never gonna be able to delete it. So those are my social medias.
I don't stream. I'm on many streams. I'll be on stream this Saturday playing Undying on this channel. You should tune in. But you can find me mainly on Adam Coble's channel. I'm on there. And that's it. And my Twitter's there, but nothing's ever interesting.
Yeah. So, well, thanks a lot, guys, for tuning in. And I was your host, EricVulgaris, and I hope to see you guys again. And if you just tuned in too late or something like that, the VODs will be going up on YouTube later today. So you'll be able to catch up. So